My name is Brenda Weingartner. I'm 54 years old. I had my first episode of major depression when I was a senior in high school.
Depression is something that we use as a clinical term, and I think most people think of depression as sadness, and that's not what we mean. When we talk about depression, we're talking about something that lasts a particular period of time, is very intense, and interferes with functioning.
After my grandfather died, I basically just kind of shut myself off from all my friends. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to go do anything. The only thing I would do, I would sit in my room and I would read.
What we see is a depressed mood, or lack of pleasure, a lowered energy level, changes in sleep, appetite, concentration that are problematic, sometimes very many negative feelings, hopelessness, helplessness, worthlessness, and thoughts of wishing you were dead or even wanting to kill yourself.
I was always able to go to work. It was when I came home. I shut the doors to the house, and I just kind of basically shut myself off from the world.
Depressive disorders can be triggered by stressors. So bereavement, a death, a loss can trigger a depression in someone. When we intervene, tends to be when people come to us and say, I need help, or I'm not functioning the way I want to, and this is getting in the way.
It always felt like it was a well to me. That's the metaphor that I usually use to describe it to people. So, you know, you feel like you're down in the bottom of this well, and I think it's different for every person, quite honestly, but a deep, dark well, and you're trying very, very hard. You try everything to get yourself out of it.
Depending on how severe the symptoms are, treatment for depression can consist of therapy, it can consist of medication, or it can consist of therapy and medication together.
2 years of talk therapy had me deal with a lot of the childhood issues that I had faced growing up. I went once a week religiously, and I was very honest with the therapist.
As when you get to more severe depression, we find the response rates are clearly better if you use both therapy and medication.
I was convinced that that would probably be enough to do it. But while it helped, it didn't solve it. And as they told me at one point, that it is a chemical imbalance in your brain. And until you compensate for that imbalance with some kind of medication, you're really not going to get really effective treatment.
The folks who have a recurrent depressive episode, it's a smaller number, but then their risk of having another depressive episode, if they've had two, bumps up to 50 to 70%. So it starts to go. And once you've had three, we start to believe that you're going to continue to have recurrent depressive episodes. So we will sometimes start to use medication in a preventative kind of way to keep you from having those episodes.
My depression had become drug resistant. In December of 2006, I had electric shock therapy at Allegheny General, and as scary as that might seem to people, it's much less frightening than what you would imagine. You know, you go in, they put you under some mild sedation, and they put a little electrode on one side of your brain, and you're asleep for maybe, I would guess, maybe 5 minutes. And it was as if, for the first time in my life, I really didn't feel depressed. It was like opening your eyes to a whole new world.
I also see people who have sort of chronic depression or have had recurrent episodes and need to be managed on medication over a long-term basis. And they've done very well, continue to function on the job, continue to maintain healthy relationships with folks, and to do very well without any mood problems.
If I could say one thing to people, to anyone today who's suffering from depression, I would tell them, there's no shame in asking for help. This disease affects you in such a way, you are never going to get better without getting some help. You can't fix it. It's not something that you can just buck yourself up and feel better. So when I finally got the help, it was like opening my eyes for the first time and seeing the world in color and being able to see the positive things in life and feel the good feelings about, you know, laughing with friends and going places with people. I could enjoy life in a way that I had never, ever, that I can ever remember, enjoyed my life before that.